A little update on the last video where it was made apparent that reselling of your games was not allowed by Sony. Apparently, this has been in their terms of service all the way back to the PS1. But I want to discuss this a little bit further. Back in the day when video games came with a console, like Super Mario with the NES and Super Nintendo, and Sonic the Hedgehog with the Genesis, the game box, or even the cartridge itself, would say, "Not for resale." It was simple enough. You're not allowed to resell it. But is this the same as the terms of service that Sony put in place? It might be, but I want to shed some doubt on that. As is the case with the old consoles from the 16-bit era, these games were free. You weren't allowed to make a profit off of the free game that they gave you to enjoy the console that you bought. But on the other hand, you bought Sony's games. If you notice, game consoles don't come with free games anymore. They may come with a bundle, but you actually have to buy the game that is in the bundle. The price of the console includes the price of the video game that it's bundled with. When you get that game, you aren't making a profit on the game if you resold it. What I'm saying is, one is for profit and the other isn't. And maybe that's what the terms of service is trying to apply here, that you aren't allowed to create a reselling business, even with one game, to make a profit. So I guess all of those eBay resellers are in trouble. But after all of this hullabaloo about this yesterday, it was clarified that no, you can resell your games. It's always been like this. It's just a vaguely worded addendum in the terms of service. Okay, so you can resell your games, just like we always could. But why is the terminology so vague? It clearly says you can't, yet you can? So my update to all of this is no. Just because it's always been there doesn't mean they can't pull the rug out from under everyone whenever they feel like it. The whole licensing trick that they pull when it comes to your legal purchases will apply whenever they deem it necessary. Just like they took back everyone's movies that people legally bought, which was a whole thing and a big deal just about 2 weeks ago. Apparently everybody forgot about that. They can still do that for games, even physical copies. As long as you're dependent on an internet connection to play media, this will always be a problem. And the way the industry has been nickel and diming everyone, and even taking back purchases without refunds, I honestly can't with good faith say that the threat of losing our purchases isn't something that they'll try to do in the future. They've literally just done it with movies, and they already tried to do it with games with the Xbox One. And if you think all of this is stupid and much ado about nothing, then you're playing yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
I would not put it past them to try this again in the future. The way the terms of service is worded is clear that they could if they wanted to. They could stop the resale of PlayStation games. Just because they aren't doing it now and they haven't done in the past doesn't mean a thing. But the best thing about this whole thing is that it invited discussion. Unfortunately, not enough discussion, but to the idea of our rights as customers. We own our copy of the game that we bought. We should be able to do whatever we want with it. And that's the law. I'd love to go on a tangent about right to repair and all of the efforts being done by companies to stop this, which is insane, but that's for another video. But the point is that the addendum that Sony put in the terms of service shouldn't even be there in the first place. And that's what bothers me. Just because most of us didn't know it was there for decades doesn't mean that it isn't a threat looming over the entire video game industry. But I expect all of this to blow over anyway, and people to forget until the next video game crisis shows up on our shores. But in any case, I'll talk to you next time.